right now. Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
All right, thanks for sticking around for the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. I'm Rich Walsh. I'll be joined by Andrew Fillipponi in the matter of moments over at the 93.7 The Fan Cam. And we're taking your phone calls tonight, 412-575-2600. Tonight, it really wasn't the bullpen that was the problem. It was the defense and Braxton Ashcraft. Bucks bats put up 5 runs, but the Yankees put up 8. And usually when it's 8-5, the 8 always wins, Pony. A tough one to start out in New York, and Valdez continues with his tear, his 13th in 32 games. I mean, look, now he's in the conversation for Rookie of the Year. I know it seems like J.J. Weatherholt is a lock, but if this guy continues this, and it's going to be hard to continue anything what he's doing right now, but if he continues half of what he's doing, I definitely think he's in the conversation.
Yeah, he's averaging an RBI per game. His RBI start is almost more impressive, if not more impressive, than the home runs, because he's on a list, a short list, with names like Joe DiMaggio to start a career as far as run production goes. Home run to the opposite field that we showed there. He now, I think, has an extra base hit in 8 straight games, which is one of the longest runs ever by a rookie. So he is continuing to, I think, announce his presence to all of baseball, not just Pirates fans and the Pirates. But doing this in New York, I think, catches people's attention, lets people know that you're for real. And, you know, every time I feel like the league might be pushing back, he has a bad at-bat, a couple bad strikeouts in a row, he finds a way to continue to put up the power numbers. Hit the ball to all fields, opposite field home run, drive in a run with 2 outs, all of those things. And, you know, really one of the blessings in disguises of the Pirates season has been that some of these injuries to guys like Spencer Horwitz and even O'Neal Cruz has opened the door for playing time for Esmerlyn Valdez. I mean, even Ozuna. If Ozuna had played well, there wouldn't have been the opportunity for this guy. So once in a while, it's better to be lucky than be good, I guess. And the Pirates got lucky in that these injuries opened the door for this guy, and he hasn't looked back. What a start to a career. 30 games is not the end-all, be-all, but you could not have scripted a better start for somebody as a power hitter with the Pirates.
All right, so O'Neal Cruz is coming back in a few weeks. Spencer Horwitz is coming back. They're going to have a couple more bats in this lineup. You obviously have a star in the making in Connor Griffin. If San Diego called you tomorrow and said, I will give you Mason Miller straight up for Valdez right now, would you do it?
For Valdez?
Yeah, straight up.
Okay.
I mean, this is crazy to even think this. I mean, I guess you'd be crazy not to accept it, but I think it's a legitimate question right now.
Well,
would you do it?
I think I still would, because Mason Miller has done this run of dominance for a longer period of time. And even though Valdez looks like a guy that's going to hit 40 home runs a season and drive in 100 runs every year, there's still so much unknown. He was not a huge prospect. He was the 8th-ranked prospect in the Pirates system as of a couple of weeks ago. So I would, but, you know, it's not a slam dunk like it would have been a month ago. Now I've got to think about it a little bit. But, yeah, I would still do it just because there's the chance Valdez is a one-hit wonder or struck lightning in a bottle and is never this good again in his career.
All right, well, speaking of second part of this question, speaking of, you know, striking lightning in a bottle, I posed this question on the Showdown yesterday, and everyone but your partner, Chris Muller, looked at me like I had 3 heads. Would you give Valdez, when would you call him? You would have his agent would call Ben Cherington, or however it works right now. At what point do you think it's okay to say, hey, we want to sign you to a long-term deal? Here's 8 years, $100 million. We're going to buy out some of your free agent years. Do you do that soon? Or is it kind of the same philosophy of like, hey, we don't know what we still have here with them?
Yeah, I think it's that. You know, you'd be really buying very, very high because of how well he's performed. And there's been no real slump yet. There's been no drop-off. And there is going to be one. He's not going to be the greatest power hitter of all time. So we're going to see that happen. And we've got to see how he rebounds and deals with that. That's part of being a professional. That's part of being If you end up being a great player, that's part of being great. Those slumps don't last as long. You're able to get yourself out of it quicker and faster than the average player. So I still think it's premature. I would not give him that number right now because the Pirates are still one of the lower payroll teams in baseball. In a second $100 million contract after you just gave one to Griffin, it's not that they can't afford it, Richie, but I still think it's a little bit of a risk.
All right, don't forget about our Penn West University question of the night. Just scan that QR code in the corner of your screen, and I guess it's another question for Mason Miller. We heard Nightingale talk about listening to offers with O'Neal Cruz. Do you listen to offers from San Diego if they were to call about Mason Miller for O'Neal Cruz? I know I know it's at his low point. You're not going to get much for him at this point, I would think. But I personally wouldn't trade O'Neal Cruz.
So I'm a little bit more open-minded on trading Cruz than I was even a few days ago. The transfer to the 60-day IL, the fact that he's still dealing with symptoms, as Ben Cherington put it, when he tries to swing a bat. He had the 2023 season lost to that injury, that bad slide at home plate. The next year he was better. Last year he was terrible. This year he was on pace to do special things, 30-30 season for the Pirates, but he gets hurt. And he's a big-bodied guy. He's a long, lanky guy. I think he might be injury-prone. And there's only 2 years left after this, which really means there's probably only one, because I don't think the Pirates would let him walk in free agency. So I would be open-minded to an O'Neal Cruz trade. I don't want to trade him for prospects, but if the right deal came around, I would at least listen to it and be receptive on it. Whereas with Valdez, it would literally take like a Mason Miller trade or something crazy like that for me to trade him.
Hey, Pony, did you happen to hear Ray's forecast for tomorrow?
I did not.
Well, it's going to be thunderstorms, rain, severe thunderstorms, and hail. And you know what that means? That you're going to be calling Ireland Contracting for a roof potentially, right? Got to give them a call for a roof.
I love Ireland Contracting. Diane Ireland, what an amazing woman. I've had the pleasure of meeting her at events. Her and her husband, what a great family. And yeah, it's been awesome to partner up with them over the years here on this show.
You know,
and
I
know whenever you and me are on together, Richie, they get excited.
Yeah.
When we tag team together and team up.
Extremely high ratings. You know how else we love? We love Diane's husband, Gary Ireland. And it's a special day for Gary. It's his birthday. So happy birthday to Gary Ireland.
Wow. Happy 40th birthday, Gary. Maybe we can get together sometime and celebrate, my man. Congratulations on all your success.
He looks great for 40. We got to take a break. Back on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call coming up next. All right, welcome back to the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. This is our Xfinity tweet of the night from Andrew Fillipponi. Esmerlyn Valdez tied the 7th most RBI in the first 31 games of a career in MLB history. He's tied with Joe DiMaggio. Unreal stuff. So you made our tweet of the night, Pony. Great job. Great stuff. Congratulations on your success, Pony.
Well, I saw Albert Pujols ahead of him. When you're around Yordan Alvarez and Albert Pujols and Joe DiMaggio, you're doing really historic things. And it's crazy to think that Valdez came up. He got sent down. They preferred the password at the time. Comes back up only because of the injuries. And, you know, this is what you want in sports. You want guys to take advantage of opportunities. You know, we've seen it with the Steelers, whether it's a guy like James Harrison, you go in as a backup, you never give the job back. You stay in for the next 7, 8, 9 years. And I don't think it'll be that long with Valdez unless they sign him to an extension, but still, he hits for power, which is something that is very expensive and really hard for the Pirates to get in free agency and in trades. So when you get it and it comes out of nowhere, it's like found money. It's like finding a $100 bill, you know, on the floor at the supermarket. So that's what they've been able to do here with Valdez, and that's how they've been able to withstand these injuries like Connor Griffin, Horwitz, and Cruz, Richie.
Yeah, look, I don't blame him. I wanted the password up here, too. I was surprised he didn't make the roster out of spring training.
Yeah. And now he becomes, I think, a trade chip potentially.
Maybe.
You know, I think that's possible. You The Pirates have to find a way to add to this bullpen. And if they don't, it's going to be really, I think, an indictment on Ben Cherington. I think they will. I think they'll get someone. I think they'll do something between now and the trade deadline. But the question is, how long do they wait? And how many games before those moves happen do they lose because of bullpen blunders? They've already blown 18 saves. They've got the lowest converted save percentage as a team in all of Major League Baseball. And I just don't want to get to October and the Pirates miss the playoffs by a game or two, and we're talking about how they waited too long, they procrastinated, they put it off to the last second, and they blew games that maybe they would have won otherwise had they made a trade earlier in the season.
All right, let's go to our number one Cochran call of the night, and that is Bill in Greensburg. How you doing, Bill?
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Good. Thanks for calling.
Okay, 3 quick points will take me less than 30 seconds.
Go.
Don't trade Valdez. Lowe will be gone next year. And remember, Albert Pujols, and I'm not saying he's going to be him. He was picked in the 12th round. Gonzalez, he's killing us in the infield. 2 more errors tonight, guys. He cannot play the infield. And the last thing, no one's talking about it, but Grisham's second home run, the count was 2-2, and Ashcraft threw a strike 3, and Henry Davis did not tap his helmet. Nobody's
I agree.
Talking about that.
It's a good point. It's a really good point, actually.
But he challenges like a meaningless call early on in the game.
I know. I think that's a fabulous observation by Bob. I really do. Nick Gonzalez is not a third baseman. He's playing out of position. The Pirates have a lot of guys playing out of position. The bullpen is their biggest issue. Their second biggest problem is that they don't play defense. And they are not a slick fielding team whatsoever. You've got really, now that Griffin's out of the lineup, you've got below average defenders at every position. And it comes back to bite them a lot. Now, yesterday in Cleveland was an outlier. They had a great defensive performance. Billy Cook and Jake Mangum and the plays those guys made. But for the most part, consistently this year, they've cost themselves games because their defense has been so really, I think, underwhelming. And it's because they've got guys that are not, first of all, great fielders to begin with, and it's made even worse, Richie, because they're not at their best positions defensively.
Matt in Indiana. What's up, Matt?
How you doing tonight?
Good, thanks for calling.
So what do you think the Pirates are going to do with the outfield positions once Cruz gets back? Because I don't see them keeping all them outfielders. They're going to have to end up trading one of them, wouldn't you think?
Look, this is a good question. I mean, Cruz comes back, he goes to center field. I mean, you got to play Reynolds. Valdez is on a heater. I'm more worried about the infield, and you brought it up just a minute ago. How about if you trade Brandon Lau, move Gonzalez back to second base? You have the other Gonzalez at shortstop, Jared Triola at third. Potentially Spencer Horwitz could fill a spot there at second, right, and have O'Hearn at first.
Yeah, my take on trading Lau is this. These are real lives. These are guys that went to spring training together. They've been the highest scoring offense in baseball for the last few weeks, and they've been consistently one of the best in baseball, lead the league in hits, second in OPS, near the top of the league in walks. I don't think it'll sit quite right with them if Brandon Lau is traded because he's had such a big part in what they've been able to do transforming their offense this year. However, if I knew that I could trade him and he was the best way to get my team the absolute best bullpen help that it needs to win, I would strongly consider it. I really would. Because he is on a rental. He's not going to be back next year. So in that very specific situation, I would trade him. But if it's just to get prospects back or something like that, I don't want to do it. I only want to trade Brandon Lau if it somehow robs Peter to pay Paul, and I'm able to make my pitching staff better overall by dealing him.
That is the only way I would consider trading Lau, and I would trade him before O'Neal Cruz or anyone else because I would want to try to get 2 middle relievers or one high-end, high leverage guy, and I think he could fetch that maybe in some kind of 3-team deal. I'm not talking about trading for prospects. You need to trade him for some help in the bullpen right now. All right, we got to take a break. Back in a couple minutes. All right, welcome back to the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Coverage. Walsh along with Andrew Fillipponi. And you know what would be a great birthday present for Gary Ireland if the Pirates traded for Mason Miller? What would get that done? And how are the Pirates going to do anything like this by not adding any more money to the payroll?
Well, Miller's still not making a lot of money, so that would actually be feasible under those guidelines because he's really on still a pre-arbitration contract, I believe. How you get him, though, is a different story. I mean, I have a hard time seeing a scenario in which Seth Hernandez or Esmerlyn Valdez are not included in the deal. I mean, if you did Cruz, I still think you'd need to put significantly players in there around him because he's injured and he's only got 2 years left on his deal, even though we know the potential's there with the power and speed. So I don't know. I feel like you'd have to do Hernandez or Valdez, Richie, to make that trade happen.
And Miller, he's only helping with one inning. They're going to need guys that help with 2 or 3 innings. And that's the issue with Miller, I think, in my opinion.
Right.
All right.
Yeah, that's the issue with relievers, Richie. You get behind in a game, you don't even use them.
Yeah. All right, thanks a lot, Pony. We'll see you back here same time, same place.
See you, Rich.
Hopefully we see you guys on KDKA News in just a couple minutes.